Alright, hello everyone. Today's video is going to be all about parentage, lineage, legacy, inheritance, everything. I'm going to talk about every single aspect that you need to know to make a very good parent. Take note, there are quite a few videos out there that are also going to talk about this, and the ones that I also like is something that Crazy Fellow, the original maker of this guide, is also talking about here. He mentions Rednu. Yeah, Rednu does a pretty good video here, 40-minute video of every single aspect of the parent training. So it's a really good guide. It does not talk about certain advanced stuff that you really don't need to know. It's just nice to know. But yeah, you can also watch this video if you want to get a good idea of what inheritances you are looking for. For me, I'll be talking about examples as well. So I'll talk about what I'm planning to train for in the future and what horses I want to make and what uniques I'm also looking for as an example, because it's very hard to tell you like, oh, if you are going for chasers, enclosures, then you need to go for this horse and this horse and this horse because of this unique and this unique and this unique. I can kind of do that, but it's also pretty hard to go and find all of them if I don't usually train them, right? I don't usually train like pace chasers, for example. I only train exiguri, so I only know what to look for exiguri. But if you train other horses, maybe you have certain other speed and stuff that you're looking for to just train that pace chaser, for example, right? So yeah, there's a lot of little aspects here. We will cover as much as I can, as fast as I can, right? Let's start off with some global funniness. Urara, over here, this is Urara's name, is getting a crap ton of grass delivered to her. I know the farm does separate the shipments, but it's just very funny to know that Urara is getting so much grass that the whole farm can be fed already for a few months, right? The grass, take note, that is not all going to Urara. Any extra grass is also being separated and given to the other horses as well. So all of the farm is being fed by the global community right now, which I think is very funny. For the US people, this is roughly the amount of grass that has been sent already. I know the website even crashed because there was too many people trying to give Urara the grass, which is quite funny. Alright, so that is something to go and laugh about. Then after that, we also have this part over here, which is my favorite part, the lineage and talking about weird horse trivia that only I, who digs a lot, will know, right? This is just the bloodline of Agnes Tachyon. Agnes Tachyon is a very cool horse. Born of Sunday Silence. Yes, if you watched the previous video, Sunday Silence also made Gold Ship eventually through Stay Gold. Right, so Sunday Silence is basically a horse that is everyone's grandpa, and Agnes Tachyon is the direct son of Sunday Silence over here, right? I think if their ribbons are on the left side, it's all males, so that's why they're all guys over here. I can just check with Gold Ship. Yeah, Gold Ship is a guy, so I know it's left. Yeah, so all of these are guys. So this is the son of Sunday Silence and also the son of Agnes Flora. Agnes Lady and Agnes Flora, these are her mother and grandmother respectively, and these horses are also G1 winning horses, winning some pretty good races, right? And Sunday Silence is a legendary horse. It's a horse that is just record breaking, has an insane backstory, is like a legend, like ogre level of legend in my opinion. Like, this is absolutely insane, right? And he sired with Agnes Flora, Agnes Tachyon. And the reason that she's named Agnes Tachyon, Agnes from the grandmother and mother, but Tachyon is because they wanted it to be faster than light. They wanted this horse to go faster than light. And so they named her that, and she basically did that in real life, which I think is the most incredible part. Because Agnes Tachyon, in I believe her breakout race, basically broke records when she ran the 1 furlong. And then besides that, she also ended up racing legends by themselves. Jungle Pocket, Kurofune. I think she also beat Manhattan Cafe and also beat Enmaya Vega, Ayabe. So she is a monstrous horse. And she won all 4 races that she did. Yes, she only ran 4 races, by the way. Because after the 4th race, she unfortunately had an issue with her muscles, and so she couldn't really run anymore. So in the anime, or I guess the movie basically shows that she is pushing herself really hard and trying to science out how to go even faster than light. U equal MA square, which is like E equal MC square, but then she changes it to her own, where she wants to become Uma square. So she wants to go faster than light in the movie, which I think is just an insane translation from the real life. It's just so damn peak, right? Really amazing animations. Highly recommend go and watch it. It's just so damn good, so damn good. I don't want to spoil it for you because it's just an experience once you watch this movie for the first time. All right, and then Agnes Tachyon also sires, Daiwa Scarlet later on. So yeah, the world of Uma Musume is just full of parents and childs and parents and childs, and you can just keep finding them when you go and look at all of the different lineages over here. It's just super cool, right? And then if you look at Sunday Silence lineage, oh my god, he made Silence Suzuka also, another top performer. Spare Chan, also another top performer. But Agnes Tachyon, this one was the one that they said would be actually the strongest of them all, because she was beating all of these horses here and became a very popular horse for the time. Unfortunately, she just had that issue with the muscles, so she was not able to continue anymore. Otherwise, she might have become an absolute legend already. But the 4 races that she did is already legend enough, beating Jungle Pocket and Kuro and Manhattan, who also go on to win very strong stuff. I think I have a this one, yeah, where Manhattan eventually goes on to race in the L'Arc de Triomphe, which is kind of insane that Psy Games is also now collaborating with the Arc de Triomphe. That shit is just ridiculous. I can't believe we're getting here. This one is Nakayama, El Condor. Is that Pocket? No, it's Serious Symboli, and then Tap Dance, and then Manhattan. Yeah, it's just so damn awesome to see all this shit over here. Right? We are in the prime era for Uma Musume and horse racing in general. Who knows? Maybe we get some global horses in the future. So it'd be cool to see something like Secretariat or any of these other famous horses in the future. You know, right? So anyway, that's just me. Let's look at the actual breeding stuff now. We will see how the real life translates to the Uma way of inheritance. What we look for in Uma Musume is blue, pink, as well as a bit of white factor, but we don't really care too much about white factor. The blue and pink more important, but we also look for uniques. Uniques are very important in this game. Let's look at Majiro Ryan, for example. Majiro Ryan actually has a very powerful unique for certain races. Why? Because she gives acceleration for 4 seconds, and that is something that's very valuable. It's the same logic for why someone like Seiyun Sky is a very popular horse for runners later on. Upcoming characters, there she is. Okay, Seiyun Sky has angling and scheming, which also gives acceleration of 0.4 for 4 seconds, and this is something that is guaranteed activated, and it requires you to be in the first position. Order equals to 1, so that is the first position. You need to be in the second phase, which I think is the final leg, right? I think it's final leg if I remember correctly. Yeah, and then the corner, you must not be you must be in a corner. You must be in the corner. Yeah, if you're in the first position or any corner in the late race or beyond, your acceleration will increase. Yeah, that's the one that you need to care about. And acceleration is something that's so valuable that Seiyun Sky is inherited on every single runner until today. Until today, they still inherit this unique. Alright, that is why acceleration is something that you must always look for. But important ones are those that are consistent accelerations. Accelerations that are inconsistent are not very interesting. Marozensky is actually going to be a very powerful horse for a while because she has Redshift, and Redshift is acceleration, and it's as long as you are in the first 5 positions you will trigger. And so she's a very powerful horse to go and inherit. I don't have one right now, but if I had one, I would try to make her for it also. Right? So that's something to also go and talk about later on. Alright. So that is just a little bit about why we are looking for certain uniques. Next, we talk about the blues and the pinks. If you never watched Red News or you never watched any other video talking about this, we will just talk about it very briefly. Basically, the formula is over here. Under this sheet, if we go all the way to generating blue genes, right, we can see that once you hit 600 in a stat, you can get 5.5% chance to get a 3-star blue spark. And that is very good. We want to get that, right? So we try to get our speed, stamina, and power to at least 600, so we can at least hit this point here. Next, there is another threshold, which is the 1100 threshold, where you can jump up to a whopping 10%-ish chance to get a 3-star spark, and that is also very valuable, right? We have a higher chance, double the chance, but also we need a lot of stat to get it. And so some parent runs, you might consider actually running like 2 to 3 stamina cards, 2 to 3 power cards, just to pump your power all the way up to 1100. Once Kita-san Black comes out and you get a few copies of it, it's actually going to be very easy, because Kita-san is going to give you training bonus on speed, and she will give additional training bonus to your power. So yes, that is something that's very valuable later on. It will be very easy to hit these numbers once you get the good cards. So remember what I said in the gacha video, please go and pull SRs at least. If you get MLB Kita-san as a borrow, that's good enough. It's a very powerful deck already, right? So that is my advice for you for the gacha part, and this is how you get the blue spark, right? We are aiming for these blue sparks. Now, what blue sparks might we want? We definitely want stuff like stamina, stuff like power, and maybe a little bit of speed if you do not have enough speed cards to get to at least like 1000 speed. All right, why do I want these like that is because guts and int, they don't really do too much for the racing. Intelligence is quite important for runners because it does affect their position keeping. That is something that I cannot explain right now, but basically runners really like to have wisdom and whatnot. But mostly for stamina and power, these are universal stats, basically. You always need stamina and you always need power, and yes, you always need speed. But the thing is, right, we always build our decks to max out our speed. So that means that we rather max out another stat so that we can focus more on training the speed. That is why I believe that stamina is one of the best things to go and inherit. Why? Because if you, let's say, train for Mal, right? Let's train for Mal. Mal, you only need a little bit of stamina, not too much stamina, but just a little bit so that you can survive. Which means that you need about 400 to 600 stamina in order to clear Mal. That means that if you inherit stamina, and you have good inheritance, you will be able to actually hit the requirement already, right? That means you can focus the rest of your deck, your support card deck, into speed, into power, and maybe even intelligence if you want to bump it up, because Maruzensky is also a front runner, and front runners like to have intelligence for positioning, right? So that is something to go and consider for Maruzensky, right? And then for power, let's say we are looking at short racers. Short racers, stamina, forget about it. Bakushin, who cares? Just press the speed button, put some power, put some intelligence in Bakushin, and now we are the smartest horse alive, powerful horse alive, speedy horse alive. Right? That's the Bakushin way. Right? And so for short, stamina becomes useless, which means we don't inherit it. So what we inherit power. We inherit speed if we can't hit it. We inherit wisdom also. That's also a viable option. So in general, stamina and power, as you can see here, are going to be very good universal stats. Because even if you can just race and you can get the stamina requirement by default, maybe because your horse is like Majiro, right? Let's look at Majiro. Majiro has a very, very good stamina bonus of 20%, which means that if you just train it a little bit or just get a bit of stamina, then you are pretty much good to go, honestly. So that means that if you just inherit and you go for medium races and you buy a gold recovery, then you actually hit the stamina requirement purely off the inheritance plus a little bit of training plus that gold recovery, and then you're done. Like, that's it, you're just done. So that is why stamina is just such a good stat, and that means you can also inherit a bit of power as well later on if you're training for other things, right? So that's why it's just so good to have blue sparks that have stamina and power. And let's say maybe you want to train a horse for mile, right? And you can just hit the stamina requirement because that mile horse has a stamina bonus, which means that just inherit power, right? Just bring one stam card and you're like done, and then you just bring power inheritance to max it out, and you max out your speed, so on and so forth. There's a lot of sort of different mix and matches. As long as you know what stamina thresholds you're looking for, you basically can just change your inheritances around. You can inherit a mix of stamina and power. Maybe you only want to inherit 42 of stamina and the rest can go into power, so on and so forth. Lots of different ways to mix and match. That one you can go and experiment until you are happy with the stat thresholds for your horse. Don't worry about it. Alright. Next, we're going to talk about aptitude. Aptitude affects your pinks. Which pinks are you going to get? So the pinks are important because if we go to the sheet over here, we go to the red genes. What do red genes do over here, right? So these are all of the different aptitudes of your Uma, which is ground, distance, and strategy. These are the equivalents in JP. JP translation is this, by the way, which is why I'm like, oh, I always say runner. I always say like chaser. It's because chaser is how you say it for Sashi. Alright, that's the translation for Sashi, which is why end closer is just so weird to me. Alright, so anyway, whatever. Basically, so what happens when you get these aptitudes? You get more stats, right? You get more stats, and distance is the most important because distance gives you speed stat, and you really, really want to get speed stat for distances. If you have less of the proficiency, the aptitude, then you lose that stat also. So that is something that is also going to be quite painful for you, right? So you don't want to ever get lower if you're going for PvP. And for Urara's case, Arima Kinen, right? Her turf is G, so you only have 10% of your stat, which is horrendous. And then you also have G in your long, which is only 10% of your stat, which is horrendous. So that means that if you want to clear Urara, you kind of want to aim for C's at least, because 80% is something that you can clear. D also can clear technically, but it's a bit harder. You need to have a lot of stats to compensate. So C is usually the point where I'm happy with Urara trophy farming. Otherwise, for PvP purposes, always A and always S. That is the one to go for, because 100% of your stat will be used here. So as Crazy Fellow says, everyone cares about getting S for distance, for speed. And after that, there is S strategy. Strategy, why? Because it helps with runners. Runners use intelligence to decide how to fight for their positions. So runners want to go first position due to Seiyun Sky only triggering in the first position, and so they will try to get S in strategy because that extra wisdom might be the little tipping point to help them keep their position in the first position. Alright. So that is all there is to it for this one over here. Later on, fight for the lead will be another mechanic that we will talk about, but it's not here yet. It's in our anniversary, so that one's not so important for you right now. Basically, try to get your distance S every single time, and then strategy S can be something that you pick up because every horse still wants wisdom no matter what. It's just that runners really love wisdom, and take note that this wisdom, by the way, does not affect skill proc chance, which is very weird. But you still want more wisdom because of the passive effect of position keeping later on. Alright, so that's going to be something to consider here. The pink we are aiming for is distance and strategy. Now, how do we get it? Right? How do we snipe it? There is a way to snipe it, and that is to find horses without a lot of aptitudes. Like, look at this horse. A here, A. So that's 4 in total. If we look at someone like Oguri, one of the most versatile horses in the game, it's actually very hard to snipe a pink. Why? Because she has A. She has 5 A's compared to something like Majiro's, right? Yes, it's one more A, right, compared to Majiro's. But that one more A is a chance for it to be an aptitude. Right, that is something that we don't want to snipe with our pink. How the pink works is that it will look for all the A's. Are you A? Are you A? Are you A? Then I'll have a chance to roulette you. And after I roulette you, it's also another roulette to decide whether I'll give you a 1, a 2, or a 3 star for the distance, surface, or strategy. Later on in JP, there's a way to affect this, but right now there isn't a way. So basically, we are just praying when we roll, right, that we hit a blue, and the blue also comes with a usable pink. And we try to reduce the amount of A's so that we can snipe the specific one we are looking for. Mainly distance and mainly strategy, right? That's the thing we are sniping for here. But of course, we can't really affect it in any way. We are just praying that it lands in the correct one over here. So that's why parents farming, you kind of want to look for aptitudes that are not A, if possible. Like if you are only aiming for medium and longs, then try to find a horse that has nothing in any others, and then you just aim for these only, right? Then after that, it's just reroll until you are able to get the 2-star pink or the 3-star pink later on, right? So that is how you basically do your pink farming, right? Just do that forever. There's no other way to make it higher or lower. It's not like stats. Stats, you can get higher stats to go and make it higher. No, this one is just RNG. Just go roll until you get 3-star or 2-star and you're happy with it. Honestly, once you hit 2-star, I would be happy already. I would stop training that parent, train another parent. If you want to refine that parent into 3-star later on, feel free to do so later, but not now, right? After that, uniques, we talked about that already. So we're basically done with all of the pinks, the blues, and the uniques. There's also white factors. For white factors, that one, we only have one scenario, which means that all you really need right now is just Ura. As long as you clear Ura, you are basically getting additional proficiency, additional compatibility, and additional stats that you can pass down to your child. That one is auto, so you don't even have to bother because it's only one scenario. So you're only training Ura, and so your Ura will be the only white factor that you're looking for. Because Ura can give you anywhere from like 10 stamina to like 30 speed. It's like randomized stats. I don't know how it works also. I just know that the Ura scenario does give you some very, very decent stats. And so that's why the Ura race is still pretty damn decent for parentage early on. Also, later on in JP, when you want to make parents fast, you actually use the faster scenario, which is actually Haru or Ura. I think Ura's faster, and then Haru is mostly used for debuffers, because Haru debuffing, I think you can get very high stats or something like that. I'm not too sure. But yeah, anyway, that's for in the future. Right now, all you need to know is blue, how to get it, 600 and 1100. Those are the breakpoints. Then after that, for aptitude, you just look for A's. And try to not inherit anything else, right? What do I mean by that? Let's say you have a B, like Oguri, right? Oguri has 5, right? But you can make it 6, right? Can't you? You can actually make it 6 by adding dirt. And you can actually make it 6 by 7 if you add long to it. So be careful when you're making the grandparent, because if you accidentally bump this to like A, you can hit that instead of hitting any of these others. So you can actually worsen your odds of hitting the correct one. So do take note of that when you are raising a grandparent, right? When you raise the grandparent, make sure you have the correct aptitudes. Otherwise, you may end up with something like Symboli giving you a runner position pink because you accidentally trained it too hard. And Symboli's unique only triggers when you are not in the runner position. So yeah, GG, you just messed up really bad. Yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much all of the stat stuff. We will now talk about an example, and I'll explain from that example about what I'm aiming to do here as an example, right? So Majiro Ryan, I said that acceleration alt, I want it. So that means I can put her in parent or grandparent, because if I remember correctly, grandparents can inherit into the child eventually, but it's RNG. It's RNG. You just need to reroll until you hit that RNG to get the Majiro Ryan, right? Then we also have Oguri here, Majiro here. Why? Because they both give very decent speed ultimates. Their ultimates are, Oguri is very versatile, very versatile ultimate, so I think it's a very good horse. And Majiro McQueen is also a pretty damn decent speed unique. Not too amazing, but it's a very good one. It's just that right now I don't really have Maruzensky or any of these other accelerations that I'm looking for, so something like this is really what I can do for now. My Majiro's not even 3-star, by the way, so I will be inheriting a pretty bad acceleration one as well, so that might not be ideal, but maybe I can get a 3-star somehow. I don't know, but this is just copium, alright? It's just copium, alright? So anyway, the ideal here is that Majiro is going to be a 3-star, Oguri will also be a 3-star, all of these will be 3-star horses, and we will inherit their uniques into this Daiwa Scarlet, because her alt is also a unique that gives acceleration. And how do I find this out? Using Game Torah and also asking people about which ones. If they just tell me off the bat, that's so easy, right? Yeah, so that's what I do. I just ask people, which accelerations are we looking at today, chat? And then they just tell me, and then boom, that's it, right? So anyway, over here we have the compatibility calculator, and we can see our affinity is 130, and we need 21 more for the double circle. So you can see in the game a double circle sometimes at the top right when you're picking the parents. What does this actually mean? It just means the affinity of the horses, right? If the affinity of the horses is not very good, then you get a triangle, and the triangle is really bad because it means the inheritance is going to be quite shit. The odds of you getting a golden inheritance, inheritance that gives you a ton of stats and a ton of inherited skills, as well as sometimes even giving you the distance aptitude S, like it can even give you that. So there's a lot of stuff that you want from that inheritance, and sometimes when we are re-rolling for a very good champion meat horse, we will actually roll until the inheritance point, and then if it fails and we get silver, we quit, and then we do it again and again and again until we hit gold. Then we're like, yes, that's the run. Now we go and keep that run, and so on and so forth. Inheritance is such a big thing for PvP, and if you're very sweaty, you would absolutely do that. Alright, you don't have to do it for fun. Alright, that shit is like nightmare, but some people love to do that because they want to make the god horse, they want to make the waifu win, then they have motivation to do it. But if you don't have the motivation to do it, then just chill, alright? Just getting the blue and the pink is enough already. But this one, basically we are sniping for this double circle so that we can inherit the skills of our predecessors into the new horse. Alright, so that's what we're looking for here. And so how do we raise this affinity, right? The affinity can be raised simply by racing. When you race any race, G3, G2, G1, the blue one, the pink one, or the green one, you will be able to get one compatibility per same race that your grandparents have done, that your parents have done. Look at my cursor, right? It's 1-1 to 1-2 and 2-1 to 2-2. So these two, if they race the same races, like let's say they both ran Tokyo Derby, this one also both race Tokyo Derby, that is +1 here and +1 here. You add that in total, so you can get 1-3-2 and so on and so forth. The parents also count, so you can have 3 different sources of compatibility increases, which is very powerful. There's also something called individual compatibility. I will not talk about that, but you can read that in the document. It is also something that's a consideration, but right now there's a lot of information for inheritance, so I don't want to go too deep, otherwise you're gonna die. Alright, so anyway, here we are basically making sure that these horses here are going to race non-stop so that we can get high compatibility, so that we can pass down the genes that we want into our Daiwa Scarlet. Take note that skills from cards also can be passed down. So if you wanted to pass down, for example, Archmaestro, by putting Super Crick in every single one of their decks, that's also a possible option. So that is something that can also be considered. So what you can do sometimes is you can just put the exact same deck on every single one of these horses, race them together, race every single G1 race that you want to share with them, and then ultimately your Daiwa Scarlet, you just hit the gold inheritance and kabam, you get a billion different skills that you really wanted, and you just keep doing it until you get the skills, right? The depths of inheritance hell can be extreme, and if you don't like it, don't need to do it. But if you love it like me, just do it. Alright, I know so many people who just grind non-stop, and if we hit it, it feels so damn good, and if we don't hit it, it's just another day, right? So that's how it is with this thing over here. Take note, of course, you don't have to train one side of this. You can always borrow a parent, right? You can borrow a parent that has decent races. Just make sure that the races are similar to the ones that you want to run. So that comes to my another advice that I have to you under this page over here. One of my advices is, when you are racing horses, try to use horses that have similar races or aptitudes for the race. Like, don't race a mile horse with a long horse. They're never going to have overlapping G1 races, correct? So that means you won't get the free compatibility. What you want to do is you try to get a horse that also races long alongside another horse that races long, or medium, and so on and so forth. And they just race those to get the similar races, right? So you can do all of that to increase the aptitude. Individual aptitude, I forget about it. I tried explaining it in a few attempts, but it's impossible to explain to you guys right now. 150 is the minimum for the double circle, and that is important. You want to get double circle for higher chance of getting the golden rainbow. Alright, and after that, grandparent chain, you want to have good uniques. Stamina and power are the best inherits. Try to get 600 or higher in the stats that you want. Right. What I didn't write here is the support card one. The support cards, right? You can actually inherit support card skills. So once Kita-san comes out, you may want to put her in every single deck, because getting Corner Professor inherited is also really good. But at the same time, you are also going to bring Kita-san on your child, which means that you will also have it. But what happens is that when you inherit, I believe you get discounted on the skill. So it's still very, very good to have this kind of thing going, because now you can inherit the skill, and the skill now gets discounted for your child, and that makes it a lot cheaper for you to buy that skill, and that's very, very good. You can save a lot of skill points, right? So there's a lot of good stuff here that you really, really want to consider when you're training the parent. And my example here is fundamentally just me wanting to inherit all of these uniques here. I'm trying to make them all have the similar races. They all can race medium, they all can race long, so I'll be mostly doing those. And then we'll make our child an ultimate horse. And you can do that for any horse in the game. You just need to find out what you need for that race, and so on and so forth. Ura is just the first step. The next step is preparing for PvP, and then after that, you also need to prepare the parents for the PvP horse that you are planning to bring, right? Lots and lots of stuff here. It adds a lot to the playtime of Uma Musume. It's not just go in, read story, and play, and race. No, there's the PvP section, which can go extremely deep. It's so fun. You should just dive into it first. Lose a few, don't worry. Figure it out later. Don't have the cards right now. After a few months in the game, you will get most of the cards. Side Games likes to give you a lot of freebies. So if you just target the banners properly, get the support cards that you need, you'll be able to build a decent deck. You may not be able to compete with certain specialized characters later on, but you will be able to make decent characters that can win CMs. Alright, so that is my last bit of advice for you guys. Ultimately, this is something that is very, very fun, honestly. It's just that maybe very, very grindy. So if you are finding it very, very painful right now to go and grind for these parents, later on it becomes a lot easier. There's autoplay, and you can auto the horse. After 15 minutes, you can see whether the horse is good enough. You keep the horse or you throw away the horse, so on and so forth. So it becomes a lot easier later. But right now, what you can do is you can just focus on one parent, then just borrow from another friend, the other parent, right? You can agree with your friend. You ask your friend, hey, can you breed this horse for me? And then I breed this horse for you. And then we make this horse together. And then if you do that, you have an agreement. You're now breeders in real life. Really, really cool stuff, right? You're actually like a breeder in real life now. Really, really awesome stuff to see the comparison between the real life and the Uma Musume version. Alright, so I think that's all I have to say. Oh wait, sorry, one more. For G1s, right? For the purposes of racing G1s, there's also something you can do, which is you can look at the you can look at this part here, under the chapter 1 compatibility. You go to this part, you can see that actually for right now, you can actually race triple crowns. And if you get the triple crown, you'll be able to get another +1 to your compatibility. So that's something you can also aim to go and get if you want. I have friends who legit only aim for these triple crowns every single time. They always aim for it. They just write it down, then they memorize it, and they just run it down. So that's what some people do. You don't have to do it after a certain point due to the fact that they just remove this altogether. So mainly only G1s later on will matter. And you don't really need to do this either, because it's just extra +1 point if you are able to do it. If you want, you can actually just race G1s only, and you'll be basically good to go already. Just make sure it's the same G1. Alright, so that's it. I'm done. Yeah, that's it. If I missed anything or I said something wrong, feel free to correct me in the comment section below. Any other questions, feel free to ask me later on. For the other questions that I've received, like stuff how to train X-Horse, what cards to look for, what are the chasers, what are the end closers to look for in the future, since you are a end closer main like me. All of this I will eventually try to answer, but just give me some time, because I have a lot of information to go and remember and a lot of videos to go and make. Alright, so just give me some time for this one, and I shall see you guys in the next video. Alright, thanks, see you, and bye-bye.